Hello, everybody. Welcome to a little conversation we're going to have about liminal learning. My name is Kevin Bowers. I'm one of the founding members, and I am joined by Finn. Hello, Finn.
Hello, Kevin. Good to be here.
So good to be here. Yeah. Finn and I have known each other for just over a year, which is significant because that's how long a liminal learning experience takes. We go through
Mm,
something called a quest, and then we go through a digital time together in what we call a hub, and then we complete with something called a heist. Although, Finn, as you might know, it's never really done, is it?
no.
This thing that we have, yeah,
Ongoing.
it's ongoing. Um, and I thought it might be cool to have a chat with Finn because Finn's been through this whole year, just finished the heist not too long ago. And for someone who's sitting out there in the digital land beyond this screen, who's thinking, "My goodness, wouldn't it be nice to have a community of people that help sort of steer this ship of life a little bit and sort of make sense of confusions and do so in community and try to, as we say, have a purposeful adulthood." Does that sound about right? What we're trying to do?
Uh, yeah, it's pretty bang on.
Pretty bang on. Yeah, it's liminal learning because liminal means the space between, right? Like adolescence and adulthood. Like there's this like
Hmm.
time between, and I'm not sure that our culture does a great job of sort of like defining that and playing in there and opening it up and making beautiful decisions in community sort
Yeah,
of
giving
explicit.
permission to exist there,
Yeah,
like in
yeah.
the not knowing. You don't need the certainty. It's
Mm,
okay to just be, like you're saying, in confusion with other people, but you're in confusion together, and you're there to figure things out.
beautiful. So let's like do a little kind of a memory trip here, and let's like
Yeah.
drop into some of the times in liminal learning. So let's start back in the quest. I wonder if you could pull from your sort of memories
Yeah.
some things, some details, some themes, some feelings, some insights that plucked you, that stirred you in that week. So we were for a week in Algonquin Park with 16.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it was 60, 12 young people, and a bunch of founding members like myself was there, and do a lot of practices. We do a lot of sort of contemplation and go on canoe trips and do stuff like that. And yeah, just curious what kind of bubbles up from your memories in terms of what's lasted with its import for you, Finn, from the quest.
Some of the most profound, some of the more profound, and I would just say impactful experiences or times on that trip were feeling feeling really like safe amongst a group of not just other people my age, but people who are older and wiser, to create spaces to ask questions that I was really um, questions that I'd been asking myself that I thought were really important. Like, what stirs you? What's important to you? Um, who's important to you and why? Um, how can you transform these relationships in your life and um, and move from feeling like you need to approach everything as an individual to approaching things as a collective. Like, what does that look like when you start to make some of those changes? And these were questions that, coming out of university, I was um, really interested in asking myself, both because I'm leaving university. I'm now needing to build a professional life. And I want to do one that feels like it's in alignment with my interests, my values, my community. And to have people older than myself who have contemplated these questions and gotten a lot of answers that you can only get through experience and through contemplation of these questions was a very valuable thing for me. And that's a thing that stuck with me. A sense of a sense of trust that even if I don't have answers to these questions, it's enough to be in the presence of you all, um,
Mm,
knowing that there's wisdom there. And so anytime we return back to, let's say, the heist when we're all together a few weeks ago, I was happy to just sit and be present and just listen. Just as much as like, at least this was in the after the heist, because obviously we were leading the efforts of the heist, but afterwards I was happy to sit, listen, and be present with you all because I just enjoy so much being in the presence of the whole founding team and everybody that keeps being added to it because of yeah, because of like the wisdom that they carry and how they live their life and how they have conversations and how they tell stories and how they play music and everything. Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, well said, man. That was, I have to say, just to fast forward, the heist was here, like literally where I'm sitting
Yeah.
now in my house in
Yeah.
Kingston. Um, and yeah, there was a real palpable magic going on with this sort of intergenerational thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Um,
lovely. It was
and
awesome.
it was lovely. And yeah, it sort of speaks to the this power of community and sort of shared care that that we had all, you know, invested in and spent our times caring about.
Hmm.
Um, and there's something about um, celebrating that explicitly, like, holy crap, we have done this thing to build community and we are better for it. And let's sort of applaud ourselves and just like pat each other on the back and laugh a lot. And yeah, it was really something. So yeah, thanks for sort of digging that up. That's great.
Yeah. The intergenerational component, I think, is the component that I love the most. Um, Having grown up in um, like personally in a culture where there isn't as much inter like generational hangouts. Um,
Mm,
just at least in my life and growing up. And it is it's something that I found more at university. At least I was part of the club. It was a Toastmasters public speaking club that was based at Queen's University, but really was open to all members of Kingston, Kingstoners. And we had a real intergenerational thing going on there. And that was
mm,
lovely because you get a mix of people, personalities, life experience, and nobody is claiming to be above one another, but we're all like learning from each other.
yeah.
And there was a real magic there. And I feel that in liminal learning, but deeper and more profound, where the questions that we're asking are better articulated than at least that club. And the focus and like the focus and the care that we're giving is is quite honed in on these questions.
Mm,
And there's a really strong purpose as to why all of you devote your time to creating this experience and building up this ecosystem for young folks like myself, and to experience that like care and that purpose with this kind of intergenerational culture. It's just a lovely mix that I personally love to be a part of. Yeah, that's probably one of the main elements that stirs me, knowing that I don't know, I can't really pin it. There's moreness to use here. Yeah,
Thanks for using that
there's
word. That
moreness
always
there.
makes me happy. I
Yeah.
giggle when I hear that one. Yeah, one of the things that you said there that I'm kind of proud of about liminal learning is like our culture doesn't necessarily um, have protocols for what we're talking about here, right? This
Hmm.
intergenerational thing, this intention thing about purpose and meaning and community and care. It doesn't kind of exist. Like you go to um, um, I don't know, we've sort of like cordoned each other's off into generations and we have these tasks to do in a
Hmm.
capitalist society, like got to go to work, got to go to school, do this thing. But it's like, where's the chance to just sort of like reinvent um, um, opportunities to talk about wisdom and growth and transcendence and
Yeah.
thriving and to do it with this cross-generational community. It kind of doesn't exist. So yes, it's one of those things, and I think the heist is a bit about this too. Is like, so what do? You invent it, right? You make it happen. Like we have the agency in our lives to make the things of beauty that the world requires, right? Like, so you frickin' do it.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the things that I dig so much about liminal learning is that that's exactly what liminal learning is. It is a bunch of us adults who got together and said, "God damn it, there's got to be a better world. There's got to be a better way of being amongst in community with young people and thriving." And we don't see it in the world, so we make it happen, right? Um, and so that's part of the buzz of it is that everybody, the the adults and the liminal learners are sort of figuring this thing out together with
Yeah.
a belief that we can reinvent how it is to make a better world, make a better life, and that's part of the buzz and joy.
You're stirring up some ideas um around an answer that I could give on my perspective on like why join liminal learning. So if you want to
Hmm.
phrase that question, then I can use the momentum of some of the ideas that
I will
that I'm
do
thinking
that.
of.
Hey, Finn,
Yeah,
why would you suggest people join liminal learning, given all your experience and insights?
it's a great question. What liminal learning is to me as a community um, is it's not just a group of individuals that you can learn from. Like there's so many aspects of liminal learning, and I suppose like that's one of them. But I would say the the learnings that I've taken away from an experience like this over the past year is as someone who really cares about meaning and purpose and trying to make change in the world, often that can feel like such an overwhelming and daunting task. Not to everybody, but it can for myself. Where do you start? Where do you start? Which change and how?
Hmm.
And over the past year, what I've taken away from this experience is a massive toolkit on how to step into this unknown and how to map it. You're trying to make change. Okay, let's break down this area that you're trying to make change in. Let's isolate the part in this area that stirs you the most, that you really want to make an impact in. Let's define it. Like, how are you going to make an impact? All right, let's create ideas around what that impact might look like. Let's select the best of those ideas and let's rate it based on how much impact you think it's actually going to make against maybe some other important variables that you need to consider based on where you're trying to make change in. And then let's prototype some of these ideas. So, like all of these tools that we've been handed were really about stepping into the unknown, which before had felt like this kind of this impossible thing. Like, how can you map it? It's too big, right? Um, but this whole journey has been about getting more comfortable both stepping into this liminal space, but also existing within it and mapping it, at least mapping out the sections that are important to you.
Hmm.
And I think that is probably one of the most valuable things, um, one of the most valuable toolkits to take into a life that is inherently um, filled with uncertainty because you're going to need to map it at some point. And if you're not mapping it, then you're kind of just accepting that you're like going with like less less control.
Hmm.
And in the midst of certainty or in the midst of uncertainty, there is, at least I've learned through this experience, there's a degree of control that you can have, and that's the tools that you have at your disposal.
Mm.
And I think those are that's been what's been really valuable for me, like both an opportunity to learn many of these tools and to practice them in community, to learn how they're applied, in which context they're applied, and how to apply them with others. And that just ties into the heist as well, the heist aspect that we've just done. Um, that was my attempt at trying to answer that
Oh
question,
man,
but
that was good, man. That was really good. That was kind of moving, in fact. Yeah, man. I
thanks.
loved how you sort of like parsed the sort of the design and the creativity stuff that we do in liminal learning,
Mm,
and you sewed it directly into how one can build a meaningful life, right?
mm,
And
mm,
how uncertainty, which can be so paralyzing and
mm-hmm.
you know freak you out, right? If you're sitting there at sort of age 21 going, I don't know what the hell to do with this, man. It's
Big
like the world's so
world.
big, all
Yeah,
this expectation, all this, I don't know how
yeah,
to make money, I don't know whatever the confusions are. And like there's a couple of responses to that, and one is to sort of um, be paralyzed and freeze and sort of like limit your potentiality, like the world
yeah.
shrinks. But you sort of brought forth the thing that I care so deeply about, and I'm sort of proud and honored that you sort of um,
Picking up on it, or
yeah, that's right. You've put it into your stance in the world, into your posture. Is like actually this complication and this uncertainty is a gift, man. Like holy crow, there's so much more,
mm,
and if I have some skills of like parsing it apart and picking, you said like pick the things that really stir me and that are really important, and I can do that in community, and I can build a life that is sort of engaging, rich, exciting and purposeful, um, then hell yeah, that's a worthy endeavor, man. Um, so yeah,
yeah.
that's good because it's a frame changing thing. Eh? Like you look at it with these lenses on, and it's like,
Mm,
oh my God, there's so much, and then you
mm,
just do a little bit of twisting and turning and maybe cleaning
mm.
the lens a bit. You put it back on. It's like, oh, here's places where I can put my energy and my engagement and community, and I'm getting this sort of fluttering of joy and community and love and action and you can live with that, man. Like you can build a good life out of those instincts. And like you say, there's a toolkit that isn't evolving and it's always changing. And like we're gonna
Yeah,
like
yeah.
um, keep on digging our hands into the toolkit, and new tools will come out. But that you have agency. You have a way you can steer your life, man, towards the true, the good, the beautiful.
That's what
Um,
that's what I've really been thinking about, just agency. Now I had been reading this book on flow states
oh yeah.
by I think he was a Hungarian psychologist,
I know it's a very hard name to pronounce.
like
Yeah,
Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi or something like that.
I've read that book. Yeah.
Yeah. And I might be mixing two different ideas, but when when he speaks about enjoyment, um, like being able to enjoy life, being able to find joy in doing something, I I remember, and maybe it's not from this book, but more broadly from different ideas that I've picked up, that autonomy and agency is a large factor in um, deriving enjoyment from something, like feeling like you are an autonomous person going and doing these things, like you are in control of whatever is in front of you at that moment, versus feeling like your whole life is being determined by
Hmm.
circumstances that you can't quite control. And this shift that we're talking about from being paralyzed by uncertainty to feeling creative, um, is standing in front of it, to me in this past year is exactly that. that I've experienced with liminal learning. It's like before having these tools, you are paralyzed by uncertainty. After going through an experience like this and learning many of these tools from you all and getting to practice them in the form of the heights, you move from paralyzed by uncertainty to feeling creative and confident in facing it because you have trust and confidence in these tools. You know how to apply them. And when you have an idea, you know the steps to take to fulfill and act on that idea, which is a very fulfilling
Mm,
like knowing. It's a fulfilling experience because there's nothing less fulfilling than having an idea and not knowing how to get to it at
mm,
all, and then that idea just like passing you by, maybe going to the next person. It's like it feels like a missed opportunity every single time. But knowing that I can pursue and fulfill that idea is and provides a type of like self-assuredness and trust
mm,
and kind of joy and going about life. That, I'm 1 year in, who knows what the rest of my life looks like if I continue to apply and prototype a lot of these
mm.
tools that we picked up over the past year. So yeah, agency.
Yeah, agency and flow, man. That's right. Flow is great, right? That
Oh,
whole concept,
yeah.
like being in a place where your life is um, full of challenge, but challenge that you're willing and able to accept. So it doesn't make it easy, but it makes it um,
Enjoyable.
enjoyable,
Yeah.
purposeful, and you feel like the the best of yourself is being
Mm,
engaged in the world, and you're
yeah.
sort of like you're like
Yeah.
and when you're paralyzed, you can't be in flow, right? It's the opposite of flow, right? But when you have some of these tools, and you kind of can, as you so wisely said, right? Like parsing apart the problem, seeing making it small enough that it's doable, and then you start
Mm,
to scaffold onto that doability,
hmm.
and you realize, shit, I do have the wherewithal in community or the skill sets that I've been working to do this. And now you're doing it, and in the doing, you're in flow. And so it's like, oh, life is sweet. I can,
Mm,
I can sustain that posture, and hopefully, right, like it becomes sort of a posture of habit. It's just like you meet things in the world,
that's it.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
your instinct is one of finding, catching that flow
Yeah.
and having this agency and these skill sets that just sort of like come to you at the right moment, right? Like if you're like sailing and you're an expert sailor and you're
Yeah.
catching the wind, you don't have to think, oh, where am I supposed to put the rudder again? You
Yeah.
know, how
Yeah.
taut is the line?
Yeah.
You've
It's an
practiced this
extension of
stuff.
you. It,
Yes, that's
it's
right. That's
flowing out
right.
of you. Yeah.
It's good word, right? It's flowing, man. Um, and again, like something I'm so proud of liminal learning is like we do this explicitly, and where is this happening in our culture, right? To sort of talk about how to enact and practice thriving. Like it's not something you might get it on a sports team, you might get it in your judo class or your ballet
Yeah.
class or your music class, or maybe a great teacher you have somewhere along the line, or if you're lucky, your uncle is awesome. You know what I mean? But it's like liminal learning is a place where you can go, God damn it, I want some more engagement, so more purpose, more joy, and I want to have faith and trust in myself and community to make the world awesome. And so I think I think we've just kicked some butt, Finn. I think that's what we did.
I think we kicked some butt too.
Nice. And in
I
service of not keeping this, oh yeah, go on. I don't want to keep this too long, but I'll give you a last word here. Throw it down.
This is another perspective of what liminal learning is. Um, from from my perspective and tying into what you're describing around thriving, like who else is teaching thriving? Um, we as a collective, like as a society, might know what it feels like to be thriving at different points. throughout our lives. Maybe when we're, doing physical exercise or when we're writing or when we're playing music, but we might not have the words to be able to describe what is happening. We know it as an experience, but we can't describe it.
Yes.
And maybe we can't, because we can't describe it, we can't teach it either.
Yeah.
But now, liminal learning is a group of very interesting, well educated, well practiced people coming together, both knowing what it's like to thrive, knowing how to describe it, and knowing how to teach it. And as a young person stepping into that, it felt like this is where I'm meant to be.
Ah,
I've I've been I've been frustrated at the world not having found spaces that could teach these things, right? Why don't people talk more about this? Why aren't there more teachers of these very important things? And so to find and stumble across liminal learning, and both to discover people who are capable of understanding it, articulating it in like book and in writing and in blog posts and in podcasts, but also teaching it and teaching it to a very accessible and just like engaging degree is it's amazing. It's amazing. Um, so join Liminal Learning. Yeah.
you know what? I'm just gonna leave it right there, man. That was beautiful. Such a pleasure to see your face, man,
You as well, Kevin.
and
Thanks for
connect.
messaging me this morning. This is
Yeah, buddy.
a good way to start the
Yeah,
day.
yeah. I feel the same, man. I feel the same. And like Finn just said, join Liminal Learning.
Join Liminal Learning. Awesome sauce.
All right, buddy. Bye bye.
Take care, Kevin. Bye bye.